Guess you don't count. That's what my sister said when she saw where they'd put me. At a wobbly folding table outside the ballroom, right next to the trash cans and the swinging service door. I could smell bleach, cold air, and someone's leftover shrimp cocktail while her wedding guests laughed under chandeliers inside Crestwood Lake Estate like they were in a movie and I was behind the screen. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell us where you're listening from. The estate was the kind of place people posted on Instagram just to prove they'd been invited. Glass ballroom overlooking a perfect New Hampshire lake, candles floating in crystal bowls, orchids hanging from the ceiling like money grew on trees here. From my spot in the hallway, I could see everything through the glass. Camilla twirling in her gown, my mom fussing with her veil, my dad pretending he wasn't terrified of cameras. I smoothed the skirt of my deep plum dress and tried to ignore the metal chair biting into the back of my legs. My name card, Sabrina Miles, sat alone on the table, propped between a napkin and a tiny vase with one tired carnation. Everyone else had gold-etched place cards and linen napkins shaped like roses. I had a draft sneaking under the door and the steady beep of a dishwasher behind me. I'd driven 3 hours up from Boston that morning, replaying my mother's last text in my head. Please, Sabrina. No drama today. It's Camilla's day. That was all I ever was to her. An instruction, a warning label. Be quiet. Be easy. Be fine. Don't take up space. Don't remind anyone there's another daughter. Growing up, we were the cliché you'd see in a smug family portrait. The golden child and the quiet one. Camilla with her ribbons, pageant curls, and most likely to succeed superlatives. Me with straight A's no one remembered to ask about. Camilla would cry, and someone rushed in to rescue her. I would fix things and people called me mature for my age, as if that was a prize and not a symptom. Evelyn, you're so lucky, relatives would say to my mom. One daughter who keeps you on your toes and one who never causes trouble. I learned young that being no trouble was just another way of saying, we don't have to look too closely at you. The last time I'd seen my parents all together before the wedding was Thanksgiving 3 years ago. The house had smelled like burnt pie crust and lemon cleaner. Camilla was in Paris or Portugal. She always chose places that looked good in captions with some new boyfriend, and for the first time in years the air felt lighter. Quieter. Sweetie, can you grab the old photo album from my vanity drawer? Mom had called, her hands deep in a bowl of mashed potatoes. I went upstairs, opened the vanity drawer, and never found the photo album. What I did find was a little brown journal, edges soft from years of being opened and closed. I hesitated, then flipped it open. Every page started the same way. Camilla's first day of kindergarten. Camilla's first dance recital. Camilla's favorite dinner. Camilla's college acceptance letter. We're so proud. Page after page, a careful record of my sister's life. Not a single mention of me. Not my birthdays. Not my graduation. Not even my name in the margins. When I brought it downstairs and asked, Mom, how come there's nothing about me in here? She just smiled like it was almost cute I'd noticed. Oh honey, you never needed the attention. You were always fine. That was the night I learned there are 2 ways to be forgotten, being lost and being erased. One is an accident. The other is a decision. I was thinking about that journal as I sat by the trash cans at my sister's wedding, listening to muffled music seeping under the ballroom doors. Every time the service door swung open, I caught flashes of the chandeliers, people in glittering outfits, my mother's hand planted proudly on Camilla's shoulder like a crown. Then the laughter changed. The staff stopped joking as they pushed their carts past me. Their eyes kept flicking from me to the ballroom and back again. The shift in the air came a second before I saw her, Camilla, gliding toward me with her bouquet in one hand, veil trailing behind her like smoke. She stopped at the glass door so her reflection doubled. 2 versions of her. The adored bride inside, and the woman looking at me like a stain on her big day. Well, she said, tilting her head. Looks like they finally figured out where you belong. I blinked, my fingers tightening around the silver-wrapped box on my table. What's that supposed to mean? Her lips curved into that half-smile she'd been practicing since childhood, the one she used right before she took something that was mine. Guess you don't count. She said it lightly like a joke, but it landed heavy. Like math. Like I was a rounding error the family had finally decided not to carry anymore. Behind her, the photographer called, Camilla, we need you back in the shot. She didn't move. She wanted a reaction. Tears. Begging. Something she could point to later and say, "See? She ruined my wedding." I swallowed the burn in my throat. My pride had calluses by then. "You know," I said quietly, "there's always been room for both of us. You're just the one who keeps shrinking it." Her eyes narrowed. "Oh, please, Sabrina. Not everything's about you. This is my day. You could at least pretend to be happy for me for once in your life." I gave a small laugh that sounded like air leaking out of a crack. "You made sure I couldn't even sit in the same room. What exactly am I supposed to celebrate?" For a second I saw it, the flicker beneath the makeup and the practiced smile. Fear. Then she straightened her shoulders, looking down at me like she was on a stage and I was a seat filler. "You sound just like Dad," she snapped. "Pathetic and bitter. Face it, nobody needs your approval. Not here. Not ever." She spun around, veil catching the air, leaving a cloud of perfume and contempt behind her. I watched her go, the train of her gown whispering across the marble floor, and felt the old familiar burn behind my eyes. But this time the burn was different. It wasn't raw. It was clean, focused. When the door swung shut behind her, the hallway went briefly quiet. I looked down at the silver box in front of me, the gift I'd wrapped the night before in my little Boston apartment. It looked like a wedding present. Neat corners, silver paper, white ribbon. But it wasn't a present. It was proof. 3 weeks earlier, I'd run into one of Camilla's old coworkers, Rachel Kim, at a coffee shop near my office. We'd done the awkward small talk. "How's your sister? How's the engagement?" And then Rachel's face had shifted, like she'd swallowed something too sharp. "Can I be honest with you?" she'd asked. She showed me the messages on her phone, screenshots from a group chat Camilla hadn't meant the wrong people to see. He's so easy to manage. A few tears and he'll sign anything. By Christmas, the house, the name, the money, done. I'll move Mom and Dad into the guest room. It'll be perfect. My coffee had gone cold while I read line after line of my sister bragging about how easy it was to manipulate Ethan Calder, the man now spinning her under those chandeliers. At first, I told myself it wasn't my business. It wasn't my relationship. It wasn't my job to save anyone. But today, sitting by the trash cans while my family treated me like a delivery mistake, something inside me snapped into alignment. If they wanted me out of the picture so badly, fine. But I wouldn't leave my truth behind this time. I lifted the lid of the silver box one last time. On top was a delicate crystal frame I'd bought with money that did not come easily. Beneath it, folded in thirds, were the printed screenshots Rachel had emailed me. Dates. Times. Camilla's words in sharp black ink. Not a threat. Just the truth dressed in paper. I closed the lid, walked to the gift table near the ballroom entrance, and slipped the box among the other presents. Right in the center of the pile labeled, "To Camilla and Ethan." My handwriting on the tag was neat, deliberate. You'd never know what was inside. For the first time that day, my heartbeat slowed instead of racing. My hands were steady as I stepped back, checked my reflection in the glass, and smoothed my dress. If my family thought I didn't count, they were about to learn how loud a subtraction could feel. I turned away from the ballroom, away from the music and the lights and the people who had spent their whole lives pretending not to see me, and walked toward the exit, heels clicking on marble, each step a sentence I'd never been allowed to finish. I was already halfway down the path toward the parking lot when I heard it, the distant ripple of laughter inside the ballroom. The kind of laughter people save for expensive nights and perfect photos. The kind of laughter my family only ever shared when I wasn't in the room. The lake breeze brushed my shoulders, cool and steady. Crestwood Lake looked like polished glass under the late afternoon light. I inhaled sharply, letting the air ground me. I should have kept walking. I should have started the car and driven away. But I didn't. I stopped at the edge of the lot, leaning against my car door, arms folded. I don't know why. Maybe because I'd lived too many years in silence. Maybe because I wanted to hear the moment shifting, the moment truth started cutting through all the noise. Inside, the ballroom music swelled. A violin arced upward. A saxophone joined in. Someone must have been announcing the first dance. For a second, I almost pitied her. Camilla, glowing in her white gown. The adored daughter. The woman who thought she'd built an unbreakable life on charm and lies. Almost. Through the windows, I saw a small group gather around the gift table. My silver box was in someone's hands, maybe a cousin or a bridesmaid. They laughed, probably expecting something sentimental. A frame, a trinket, a story about sisterly love that never existed. A few seconds passed. Then the music thinned. Not stopped, just faltered. Like the sound was unsure of itself. Through the glass I saw Ethan Calder, Camilla's groom, standing stiffly as someone handed him the folded paper from the box. His brow furrowed once, then again deeper. His jaw tightened, the muscles shifting like he was chewing on something sharp. He unfolded the next page. Then the next. His expression changed in slow, devastating increments. A laugh died mid-breath somewhere behind him. A violinist missed a note. A woman gasped. A flash popped and didn't pop again. The glass muffled the words, but I didn't need to hear them. I knew exactly what he was reading. He's so easy to manage. A few tears and he'll sign anything. By Christmas the house will be mine. I'll move Mom and Dad into the guest room. It'll be perfect. The perfect bride. The perfect scam. The perfect storm. Finally catching up to her. Camilla appeared beside Ethan then, smiling wide. Head tipped at an angle she'd practiced in mirrors since she could walk. When she noticed the papers in his hands, her smile froze like a computer screen catching a glitch. She tried to snatch them. Ethan held them back. A thin, perfect silence spread through the ballroom like a crack traveling across glass. "What is this?" he asked, his lips forming the shape even if I couldn't hear the words. Camilla laughed, too high, too bright. The kind of laugh she used when she was cornered as a kid. "Babe, that's not what it looks like." He read another line. His face drained of color. "What do you mean he's easy to handle? Why are you talking about prenups like this? What is all of this, Camilla?" She shook her head, veil trembling like it was trying to escape. "They're fake. Someone's trying to ruin my wedding. Someone. Me." She said it before anyone else could. "It's Sabrina," she snapped, turning in a sharp circle like she expected me to be lurking in a corner. "She planted this. She's jealous because she can't handle anyone being happy." A murmur rolled across the guests like wind moving through leaves. People turned, whispering. Phones lifted discreetly. A few not discreetly at all. Across the room, Ethan's mother, Margaret Calder, stepped forward. Elegant. Controlled. A woman who didn't raise her voice because she didn't need to. "That's not true," Margaret said, loud enough that the vibration reached even outside. "These messages came to me this morning, directly from one of your stylists. Apparently they were in the wrong thread." Camilla's knees bent just slightly, like her body forgot how to hold itself up. "No," she whispered. "No, that's impossible." "Read the dates," Margaret said, arms crossed. "Read the timestamps. They match." Ethan turned the page. His breath visibly caught. I could see it from outside. A man realizing the person in front of him was a stranger wearing a white dress. When he reached the bottom of the stack, he stopped. He didn't throw them. Didn't shout. Didn't do anything dramatic. He just looked at her. And she broke. "You don't understand," Camilla said, her voice climbing, shaking. "It was just a joke. Rachel always exaggerates." She pointed at random people, reaching for excuses like they were slipping through her fingers. "This is a setup. It's Sabrina. She hates me. She always has." Mom and Dad were near the head table, Evelyn frozen with her champagne glass trembling, Robert staring at the floor as if he could hide inside it. "Do something," Camilla shrieked at them, desperation ripping through her voice in jagged pieces. "Dad! Mom! Say something." They didn't. For the first time in our lives, they didn't. Robert lifted his head slowly. His shoulders were tight, his jaw ticking. When he spoke, his lips barely moved. "You should apologize to your sister." A burst of whispers exploded around them. Mom grabbed his arm. "Robert." "No," he said louder. "Not this time." Camilla stared like he'd slapped her. "Apologize? To her? I did this." Ethan stepped forward, placing a folded document on the table beside the silver box. His hand shook only once. "This is an annulment petition," he said. Camilla went still like her entire body turned to stone. "I already signed it." A scandalized gasp rippled through the guests like someone had dropped a live wire into the room. Phones were recording openly now. Children stared. A bridesmaid covered her mouth with both hands. Camilla crumpled onto the chair behind her, eyes wide and wet, mascara streaking down her cheek like black rivers. You can't do this. Ethan, baby, listen to me. He turned away. Margaret followed him. The crowd parted like water. A glass frame hit the floor near Camilla's feet, shattering into 100 tiny pieces. My gift. Our mother flinched. Someone screamed. Someone else fainted. A chair tipped over with a crash. The DJ killed the music. The chandelier light flickered. It felt like the entire building inhaled and forgot how to exhale. From outside, I heard it all collapse like an orchestra falling apart mid-song. Her perfect wedding. Her perfect reputation. Her perfect life. Gone. A sound traveled across the lake, Camilla's scream, and the wind carried it straight to where I stood. For a moment I closed my eyes. Not to savor it, not to celebrate it. Just to acknowledge the weight leaving my chest after years of being the invisible daughter. The unseen sister. Truth hurts when it's hidden. But when it finally comes out, it frees the person who carried it alone for too long. As guests streamed out into the parking lot, some crying, some whispering, some filming, the windows of the ballroom flickered like a dying lantern. I slid into the driver's seat, shut the door gently, and whispered to myself, "It's done." But the story wasn't over yet. Not even close.